Welcome to our deep dive into fromage.
Ah, yeah.
You've given us the official rule book.
Perfect.
So we're all set to explore this delicious world
Indeed.
of cheesemaking in early 20th century France.
Sounds fun.
Now, this game, it falls into a category called worker placement.
Okay.
And for our listeners who haven't had a chance to play a worker placement game, just imagine you're strategically assigning your little helpers, right?
Okay.
Represented by these cute little pieces called meeples to different tasks.
Okay.
To gather resources.
Right.
Make cheese.
Yes.
And ultimately earn the most prestige points.
And what makes Fromage so unique is how it takes that simple premise, and just adds layers of strategic depth. For example, you're not just taking turns one after the other. Everyone's acting simultaneously.
Oh, wow.
So you have to kind of think about what your opponents might do while also keeping an eye on the ever-changing game board.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That sounds like a recipe for some exciting tension.
For sure.
Okay, so let's break down this core gameplay loop.
All right.
What are we doing each turn?
So each turn, you're going to retrieve your trusty worker meeples.
Okay.
You'll strategically place them to perform actions, and then watch as the board rotates, opening up new possibilities.
Wow.
And aging your cheese.
So it's like a constantly shifting puzzle.
Exactly.
Where you're always trying to stay one step ahead.
Yeah, always trying to think ahead.
Oh, a constantly shifting cheese board.
I like it.
How intriguing. Can you tell me more about these actions that we're taking?
So you have two main actions to choose from. You can gather resources or make cheese.
Okay.
And gathering resources, that gets you the building blocks of your cheese empire. Things like structures.
Okay.
To expand your creamery.
Right.
Livestock for milk.
Gotcha.
Fruit for those fancy cheeses. And even orders, which are like special requests from customers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just about slapping some curds together.
No.
There's a whole resource management aspect to the game.
And here's where it gets really strategic.
Yeah.
The more resources you decide to take in one go, the longer you have to wait to get that worker back.
Oh, I see.
So it's a classic risk-reward scenario.
Yeah.
Do you go for the big haul now and potentially fall behind later?
Right.
Or do you play it safe and just steadily build your resources?
Okay, I'm already seeing how this game makes you think ahead.
Yeah.
Now let's get to the good stuff.
Okay.
The cheese.
Let's talk cheese.
What kind of cheesy creations can we whip up in Fromage?
You'll be crafting 3 classic types.
Okay.
Soft, hard, and blue.
Oh, nice.
But it's not as simple as just picking your favorite.
Oh.
Each cheese space on the board requires a matching worker type. So you'll need to carefully manage your workforce.
I see.
To make sure you've got the right cheesemakers for the job.
So I can't just specialize in one type of cheese.
If you want to maximize your points, no.
And call it a day.
You got to diversify.
Okay.
And we haven't even touched on the aging process yet.
Oh.
This is where Fromage gets even more interesting.
Right.
Each cheese space is associated with a specific aging time.
Okay.
Bronze for 1 rotation of the board.
Gotcha.
Silver for 2, and gold for 3.
Wow.
And the longer a cheese ages, the more points it's worth.
Okay.
But it also means locking up your worker for a longer period.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a clever way to add a layer of tension and timing to the game. It's not just about making cheese.
No.
It's about making the right cheese at the right time.
Exactly.
And some of those fancy cheese spaces,
Oh, yeah.
they require fruit tokens as well.
They do.
So you can't just whip up a luxurious fruit-infused cheese without first
You got to get the ingredients.
acquiring the necessary ingredients.
Exactly.
It all ties back to that careful resource management we talked about.
Sure.
Okay, so we've got workers, resources, cheese aging on this constantly rotating board.
It's a lot.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together to create a really dynamic experience.
Yeah, very dynamic.
But how do we actually score points and win the game?
That's where the venues come in.
Okay.
They represent different ways to earn those coveted prestige points.
Gotcha.
Think of them as different markets or avenues for showcasing your cheesy creations.
Okay.
You've got 4 to choose from.
Okay.
Festival,
Okay.
the Fromagerie,
Uh-huh.
the Bistro,
Nice.
and Villes,
Villes.
which represents selling your cheese in various cities across France.
So each venue offers like a different path to victory.
They do, yeah.
Tell me more.
Okay.
What makes each one unique?
Right.
All right, let's break down these venues.
Okay.
First up, we have the festival.
Uh-huh.
Sounds like a pretty lively place.
It is.
To show off our cheese-making skills.
For sure.
What's the key to winning over those festival goers?
At the festival, it's all about presentation.
Okay.
Imagine you're creating this irresistible spread of cheese, each one carefully placed to complement its neighbors.
Okay.
You score points based on how many cheeses you have clustered together.
Oh.
So think of it like building the ultimate cheese board.
So it's not just about making a lot of cheese. It's about
the arrangement.
Arranging it strategically.
Exactly.
And there are a couple things to keep in mind.
Oh, yeah.
Only cheeses placed directly next to each other.
Right.
Not diagonally.
Correct.
Count towards your cluster score. And those free sample spaces on the board, they automatically count.
Yeah, they do.
As having all players' cheese tokens, which can be a real advantage.
It can.
If you plan your placements wisely.
Absolutely.
So I can sneakily position my cheese next to a free sample.
Yeah.
And get a boost to my score.
Totally.
But I'm guessing aged cheese is still king.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Aged cheese is always king.
Remember how bronze, silver, and gold cheeses have different aging times? Well, at the festival, those aging times also translate to bonus points.
Okay.
For your clusters.
Interesting.
So a bronze cheese doesn't add any bonus.
Nope.
But a silver cheese adds 1 point to its cluster.
Gotcha.
And a gold cheese adds 2.
Wow. Okay.
So aging my cheese is a win-win.
It is.
It's worth more points on its own.
Right.
And it boosts the score of the entire cluster.
It does.
I like it.
A good strategy.
Wait, what about the Fromagerie?
All right, the Fromagerie.
What kind of cheese connoisseurs
Yeah.
are we trying to impress there?
Picture a sophisticated cheese shop with rows of beautifully displayed cheeses, each one carefully chosen to showcase a specific type and age. The Fromagerie is all about variety.
Gotcha.
And appealing to customers with discerning tastes.
Okay.
Each shelf in the Fromagerie has a different scoring rule. And the longer a cheese has aged, the more valuable it becomes on that shelf.
So I can't just load up one shelf.
No.
With all my soft cheese.
You got to mix it up.
And call it a day.
Right.
I need to diversify my cheese portfolio.
You do.
Some shelves give you bonus resources.
Oh, yeah.
When you place a cheese there.
That's right.
Which can be a great way to fuel your cheese-making engine.
Absolutely.
Other shelves offer bonus points at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And the more shelves you have cheese on, the more points you score.
That's right.
So I need to strike a balance.
You do.
Between grabbing those immediate resources and setting myself up for endgame scoring.
Absolutely.
Tricky.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
On to the Bistro.
All right, the Bistro.
This one sounds like a personal favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Who doesn't love a good cheese pairing?
The best.
So at the Bistro, your culinary creativity comes into play.
It does.
Imagine carefully crafting pairings of cheeses.
Oh, yeah.
That complement each other.
Yeah.
Creating a symphony of flavor for the Bistro's patrons.
It's beautiful.
You score points based on the number of pairings you create. And of course, the age of the cheese in each pairing. So it's not just about making any old pairing.
Nope.
It's about making the right pairing.
That's right.
What makes a good pairing in Fromage?
The key is to create multiple pairings.
Okay.
Each plate in the Bistro can hold 2 cheese tokens.
All right.
And the more plates you fill with pairings.
Yeah, the higher the value of each individual cheese.
Okay.
In those pairings.
So a single gold cheese might be worth a decent amount on its own.
Okay.
But if it's part of 2 different pairings, its value skyrockets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So there's a real incentive to think strategically.
For sure.
About which cheeses I pair together.
Absolutely.
And I bet those aged cheeses become even more valuable in this setting.
They do. They do.
The longer a cheese is aged, the more points it contributes to a pairing. So if you can manage to pair 2 gold cheeses together, you're looking at a major point boost.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sold.
I knew you would be.
I'm ready to open my own bistro.
Let's do it.
And become the ultimate cheese pairing master.
You got this.
But we still have one venue left to explore.
Okay.
Villes.
All right, Villes.
The kind of cheesy adventures await us there.
Imagine yourself as a cheese entrepreneur.
Okay.
Expanding your business across France. Bringing your delicious creations to new markets.
Right.
Charming customers in every city. Villes is all about spreading your influence.
Okay.
And becoming the dominant cheesemaker in each region.
So it's like a race to conquer the cheese market.
Absolutely.
Across France.
Yeah.
How does that play out on the board?
So the Villes board is a map of France, divided into 6 regions.
Gotcha.
And when you place a cheese on the board, it influences the regions it touches.
Okay.
And the level of influence depends on the age of the cheese.
So those aged cheeses pack a bigger punch.
They do.
Just like in the other venues.
Oh, yeah.
A bronze cheese only influences 1 region.
Okay.
While a silver cheese influences 2.
Right.
And a gold cheese influences a whopping 3.
Wow.
At the end of the game.
Yeah.
You score points for having the most influence in each region, making it a real battle for cheese supremacy.
It is a battle.
So I need to think strategically.
You do.
About where I place my cheeses, not just which type and age I make.
Right.
I can't just focus on one region.
Nope.
I need to spread my cheesy goodness.
Gotta spread it out.
Across the entire country.
Across all of France.
And there's an added wrinkle.
Oh, there is.
If 2 or more players tie for the most influence in a region, no one scores points.
Oh, wow.
For that region.
Interesting.
In a 1 or 2 player game.
Gotcha.
It becomes a cutthroat competition.
It does.
Forcing you to anticipate your opponent's moves.
Right.
And try to outmaneuver them for those regional bonuses.
You gotta stay ahead of the game.
Okay, so we've got 4 venues, each with its own unique scoring system and strategic considerations.
It's a lot.
The festival is about clustering those cheesy delights.
Right.
The Fromagerie rewards a diverse cheese selection. The Bistro challenges us to craft those perfect pairings.
It does.
And Villes sends us on a cross-country quest.
Sure.
For cheese domination.
I love it.
This is a lot to take in.
It is.
I'm already starting to feel the strategic wheels turning in my head.
And we haven't even touched on the unique elements that set Fromage apart from other worker placement games. Those elements add even more layers of complexity and decision-making.
You're talking about the rotating board?
Yes.
The milking parlors? Structures and orders?
Yes.
Those sounded intriguing.
They are.
I'm eager to hear more about how they shake things up. All right, let's dive into these unique elements.
Okay.
Starting with the rotating board.
Okay.
We've talked about how it ages our cheese. But I'm curious to know more about its strategic implications.
Yeah.
It seems like it could really shake things up.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
The rotating board adds this dynamic layer of planning to Fromage. Each turn, as the board rotates, a new quadrant becomes available, offering different cheese-making opportunities and resource spaces.
I see.
What's fascinating is how this constant shift forces players to balance their immediate actions with long-term setup.
So I can't just focus on making cheese in the current quadrant.
Not necessarily.
I need to be thinking about which actions will be available in future rotations.
You got to think ahead.
You might have the perfect worker for a gold cheese space. But if that space is like 3 rotations away, you have to weigh the opportunity cost of locking up that worker for so long.
Exactly.
Could you use that worker more effectively in the meantime?
Right. You have to think about that.
It becomes this delicate balancing act.
It does.
Between maximizing your current turn and setting yourself up for success in the future.
Yeah, it's a tough balance.
And I imagine aging my cheese on the board adds a layer of risk as well.
It does, yeah.
What if the board rotates before my cheese matures?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's a constant gamble.
Oh, okay.
If the board rotates before your cheese reaches its desired age, it becomes vulnerable.
Okay.
Another player might swoop in and take that cheese space, leaving you empty-handed.
Wow.
So, yeah, you got to be careful.
So there's a real sense of urgency.
There is.
And calculated risk-taking.
For sure.
With the rotating board. You have to be adaptable.
Yeah.
And adjust your plans on the fly.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's move on to the milking parlors.
All right, milking parlors.
These sound like a sneaky way to get ahead.
They can be.
Yeah.
Milking parlors offer a way to bypass the usual worker placement restrictions.
Oh, okay.
By spending the required livestock, you can activate a milking parlor and place a cheese token of a specific type and age without using a worker.
Oh, wow.
It's like having a little shortcut. A way to sneak in an extra cheese placement when you need it most.
So I could use a milking parlor to secure an early lead.
You could.
In a particular venue.
Yeah.
Or maybe save it for a late-game scoring opportunity.
Exactly.
But keep in mind, each milking parlor can only be used once per game. So timing is everything.
It really is.
It's a classic delicious dilemma.
Yeah.
When is the optimal time to activate this unique advantage?
You got to plan it out.
Decisions.
So many decisions.
Okay.
Let's talk about structures.
On to structures.
Okay.
We briefly touched on these before.
We did.
They sound like upgrades.
They are.
To our cheese-making operations.
Like little investments you can make.
Think of them as investments that enhance your creamery.
Exactly.
Making it more efficient. And profitable.
More cheese, more points.
Each structure grants a unique ability or scoring bonus.
That's right.
Some structures help you acquire resources more effectively.
Right.
Giving you a steady supply of structures, livestock, fruit, or even order cards.
Like a little engine.
So I could build a structure that gives me extra fruit every turn.
You could.
Or maybe one that lets me draw more order cards to choose from.
Exactly.
Other structures provide in-game scoring bonuses.
Oh, yeah.
Based on your actions throughout the game. Maybe you score extra points for every blue cheese you've made.
Okay.
Or for every livestock you've used.
Makes sense.
So I could tailor my structure choices.
You can?
To complement my overall strategy.
What is strategy?
And some structures.
Yeah.
Even give you unique actions that you can perform immediately.
Oh, wow.
Like placing a worker in a special spot.
Okay.
For a one-time benefit.
Interesting.
It's all about customizing your creamery.
It is.
To fit your play style.
Find what works best for you.
Okay, last but not least.
Right.
We have orders.
Orders.
These are those customer requests that reward us for making specific cheeses.
They do. They do.
Right.
Keep those customers happy.
Orders add another layer of strategic decision-making.
Oh, for sure.
To Fromage.
Yeah.
They can be quite lucrative.
They can.
But it's important to approach them with a discerning eye.
Absolutely.
Don't just chase every order that comes your way.
Right. Be picky.
Think about how they align with your chosen venues and whether fulfilling an order might detract from a more valuable scoring opportunity.
Good point.
So sometimes it's better to hold on to a cheese.
It can be.
For a high-scoring pairing in the bistro.
Right.
Rather than using it to complete an order.
Yeah. Gotta prioritize.
It's all about prioritizing.
It is.
And making the most of every cheese placement.
Every point counts.
Remember, the goal is to earn the most prestige points.
That's right.
And sometimes that means being selective about which orders you pursue.
You got it.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
Into Fromage.
I've enjoyed it.
We've explored the core gameplay loop, the nuances of each venue, and those unique elements that add so much strategic depth.
It's a great game.
I'm starting to see why this game has captivated so many cheese-loving strategists.
I can see why.
But before we wrap up,
I
have to ask.
Yeah.
What's one key takeaway you would like our listeners to remember as they embark on their own Fromage journey?
I would say embrace the dynamism of the game.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to adjust your plans as the board rotates and new opportunities arise.
Right.
Experiment with different strategies. Explore the synergies between venues.
Okay.
And most importantly, have fun crafting those delectable cheeses.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
We hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Fromage.
I know I have.
Now, go forth and create the most prestigious creamery in all of France.
Bon appétit.